Welcome back to Two Who's Review. I'm Alex,
I'm Fitz.
and we are back with our regular backlog reviews. We have finished the newest season, took a small break, and we are now back to review the 2007 Christmas special, Voyage of the Damned.
With Kylie Minogue.
With Kylie Minogue, yeah, I think I don't know where I read this, and I could be wrong, but I do think that this is like the most viewed Doctor Who episode in franchise history, or at least one of them. I think almost certainly owing to Kylie's presence. It was clear this was like a stunt casting thing that was like, let's get some extra eyes on this. It worked well with Billy Piper. Let's get another pop star in. Is there anything to this episode beyond that though? I think that's the question.
I think there is.
I think so too.
It's not. I don't know. Maybe not perfect, and maybe there's even things that I'm not quite reckoning with yet. But I thought, like, I certainly didn't. I enjoyed this episode. Sorry, yeah, I enjoyed it. It wasn't like brilliant or anything, but I certainly didn't hate it. Really?
No, not really. I mean, like, the worst that I can say about it really is that, like, it's nothing special, all things considered. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, it's certainly nothing... Like, the sort of plot we're dealing with, don't think it's anything we haven't seen before in Doctor Who, even thematically.
Yeah.
It's still... Like, it's still enjoyable seeing this sort of Doctor Who story play out with all the different sort of sci-fi elements and, again, even some of the themes. But yes, it's not like super innovative. And okay, like, not that it really, like, has to be super innovative, but there's still nothing, I guess, that's really elevating the story to a really, amazing degree, I suppose. But it was okay for what it was, I thought.
Yeah, it's fine. Like, it's... Like I said... I don't know. I think... It's not a very, like, typical Christmas special, I think, is something that I think is perhaps its strong suit and otherwise. Like, when we were doing our Two Who's Produced Season 2, I wrote a Christmas special that was essentially the Doctor has to come to terms with the fact that their companion is going to be erased from existence, and rather than fight it, they just decide to have one last fun Christmas together. And that has a similar, like, dour tone that a bunch of this episode does. But then you've also got robot angels and Max Capricorn in a little buggy thing. Like, I think that's maybe where I'm at with this, and the fucking stupid golden tooth. I think at times the tone can be so, like, all over the place, and
I mean, it is.
Sometimes I think that is to the detriment of the episode. It's just, like, tonally inconsistent.
It is. I will counter that by saying it's not as if we've had really wacky concepts in previous Doctor Who stories and still had, like, we haven't found too much to complain about the tone. That being said, arguably that's because those other episodes handled the tone better than this one did. I wasn't bothered by a lot of that. I think even with the Max Capricorn with the shiny tooth, I think that's more a symbol of his vanity, obviously, but sure, the facade that he gives off. So, and I think there's enough of an irony there, especially when you see the really weird, repetitive shots of his face on the screen as the ship is going down. It's like it's a decent enough way to show his influence on this whole situation. So I didn't mind it that much. I think maybe the presence of the angels, maybe they could have been given, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if a better explanation is what's required, because you get the feeling that this whole thing. It's almost like a weird bastardized parody of what humans do. I mean, that's kind of you know, grounded in the way that Mr. Copper talks about the Earth, like he knows what it's actually like. But um, I think those things. Yeah, I think my overall point is those things could bother me a lot more. And I think in a way, for me, there's something almost enjoyable about how incongruent certain parts are, like the fact that you have, yeah, these wacky things, and oh yeah, it's the a white couple and they like to eat. Let's laugh at that. Um, but then they mix it with a lot of genuine pathos, and I kind of appreciate that mixture. That being said, I do kind of see what you mean in that the when the episode gets dark, it does get pretty dour, as you say, for um well, one, for a Christmas special, but also um for what the story is doing with with its tone the rest of the time. So yeah, again, it doesn't bother me, but maybe it could have done with some work.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know why, because when I was watching the episode, there were only like a couple of like minor things that I had myself like serious issues with. But even now, I'm thinking back on it, and it's like I don't think the whole experience. I don't remember it incredibly fondly. Like there are standout moments and things I like on their own, but I don't know.
Is this a
It's just
classic,
weird.
is this a
Yeah,
classic sum being greater than the whole situation?
it could be. I have no idea.
Because I do like, as you say, there are quite a number of moments on their own that I do like. I mean, even the bit where they're sort of getting across the bridge thing when there's fire underneath them, and you've got the Foon making the sacrifice, and Batakafalata making the sacrifice. There's something quite compelling about that. And there's also fun, like the Doctor has lots of fun interactions with a lot of these characters, um, particularly with um, the Van Hoffs, Astrid, and Mr. Copper. But um, I think I see what you mean. It's certainly a stranger episode, and maybe not like for the better in terms of what it's doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let's just go over it, I guess.
Sure, sure.
Well, we have obviously the initial concept of the space Titanic. Um,
Hmm.
this pleasure cruise vessel on its way from an alien world, passing by Earth, observing the planet during Christmas time. It's not the most unique sci-fi concept, but the way the show does it, it seems like it's interesting enough the way they do it here. It doesn't. It's at the very least like you don't watch this and go, Futurama did this, or this is just that Douglas Adams story, Starship Titanic. There's enough of a
Hmm.
unique Doctor Who bent to it where it feels like a unique enough premise, at least. Um, and I think what I like a lot about this story is exemplified in the first like 10 minutes or so, and that's the supporting cast. Quite
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of them are very charming and very likable. Astrid is a great character. We'll get to her later, but like the married couple, Mr. Copper, um,
Even what's his
uh,
name? Rixton,
Rixton is
the rich.
delightfully like hateable
Yeah,
in his demeanor.
yeah,
Banacafalada is always fun. Um,
yeah.
yeah, it and also Alonso in the upper deck. Like the show
Hmm.
endears you to them very quickly.
Yeah.
Um,
Even the captain, right, who sort of causes the thing, that you
mm,
feel a sense of pathos because he's clearly been sort of roped into this because he, needs the money. And then there's that great bit where he says, "Oh, they said they were going to give me, old sea dogs, not boys." And then He has to crash the ship into the meteor
Yeah, I
strike.
mean,
So
it's nice. Yeah, and it's a good
yeah,
way of. I think that's partly what makes this episode work when it does is the human nature
yeah,
or the human quality to it. And I
for
say that
sure,
given
for
that
sure.
like 98% of this episode's cast are not human, but again, like there's something very very likable and charming and relatable about all these characters, even the ones that do the bad things. Um,
Yeah, and
and
it's.
I
I'll tell you
I
what.
guess
Like,
that's
given. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was going to say like the fact that the episode is willing to kill so many of them. I think that's part of what makes this episode such a gloomy Christmas special. Is that you would normally expect this band of heroes. Maybe not all of them would survive in a regular Doctor Who episode, but at Christmas you're expecting this to be like a found family kind of like
Yeah,
Christmas, like a Christmas like dinner kind of thing, where this group of people come together for
yeah.
this Christmas and rat and pull
Mm,
together and become fast friends. But all but two of them die, all but three of them die,
mm,
and it's distressing when that happens because again, you
mm.
do get to know them and you do get to love them a lot.
And in a way, I do kind of admire that the fact that RTD was willing to sort of push the story thematically in that way, especially for a Christmas special. Um,
It's also the Titanic. You kind of need
yeah, yeah,
a
that's
lot
that's
of
a whole other thing
casualties.
as well. Yeah. Um, and it's like I think it kind of works in a way because it being the Titanic in the moment when you're just seeing these characters survive moment to moment, you think, oh yeah, they're going to get out, it's going to be great, but then you realize in the end, oh yeah, it was the Titanic, and we all know what happened there, don't we? So that works fairly well. I think in terms of the supporting cast and why they help so much is because this story should be like really quickly paced, right? It kind of has to be because they're on the space Titanic. I mean, what else are you going to do? But even within that fast pacing, I feel like it still manages to have a lot of really nice character moments where we get to see who all these characters are. But for me, it doesn't ruin the pacing that much, at least for that middle bit where the ship is going down and they're, you know, trying to
Yeah,
search through it to escape. Um, so I think that might be one of the biggest elements, right? The fact that you obviously need to capture the terror and the scope of the disaster, but the only way you can really make that hit home is if you've got these characters to really care about, to see the impact on their lives. And I think this story does a pretty decent job of it. Um, there's certainly no. I didn't find any of the characters really infuriating, or at least in ways where I shouldn't have. Um, and I just found their character journeys for what they were to be pretty satisfying, albeit very bleak.
mm.
Um,
I like that all of
yeah,
them, mostly anyway, do get like big hero moments
yeah,
in their
yeah,
departures, except for old mate who's married to Foon. He gets a pretty tasteless and unceremonial end, um,
yeah,
which is a shame because he was really great.
yeah. He
Um,
was, but in a way, maybe that was like the point. It's kind of like it's almost like watching Aliens, I guess, that you sort of care about these characters only for their lives to be snatched away instantly. Just in
I
some cases,
guess,
literally.
but like, did it have to be weight related?
Yeah, touche.
Like, that just feels like such a disservice. Like, because I think a
Yeah,
whole bunch of the story is, I wouldn't necessarily call it body positive, but it is
like
like
the point is that
it portrays these two characters as more than the rich assholes make of them. You know, they are talented engineers and
yeah,
they do all this stuff and
and
they're
they're lovely
kind-hearted
people.
people. Yeah, but then both of them die either because of or utilizing their weight.
And you could argue that even if, like, particularly with Foon's sacrifice, even like if she wasn't overweight, that plan still would have worked. But like,
It might
you
have.
know what they're emphasizing there, right? Like, it's
Yep.
pretty clear,
Yeah.
which is Yeah, I mean, look, I like those. I'm fairly satisfied with those characters because of how likable they are and how much you grow to care about them. Um, and as I said, even the kind of the thematic grittiness of having them both die so suddenly after caring about them like we did, that I kind of admire. But yes, you would imagine there could have been another way to a more dignified way, I suppose, to kill those characters off. Um, even if it was, and I don't know exactly how you do this, but even if like Rixton had sabotaged the group in some way, or tried to, I don't know, push them off the edge or something like that, that would have drawn the focus to something else, other than their weight. But as it is, it's like I've seen worse, in terms of this sort of thing. But yeah, it's not. Arguably, it's not great.
Yeah. I'm just. I mentioned the thing about the body positivity, and
Hmm.
they touch on it a little bit with Banneker Falada. Um,
Well, that's true,
being
but I think that's
being the
sort of
cyborg.
a. I think that's more of a. Granted, my I guess unique experience with this. Maybe it's more of a commentary on, well, one just otherness, right? With
Yeah.
um, the way that people on Earth are treated. But I'm going to say this tentatively because I don't know if it's true or even if I could fully comment on it. But um, maybe there's an allegory for. If you don't know, I'm not going to bother
There's a
with that.
pretty well, there's a pretty clear line in there about no, no, it's like no, they've passed a law on Stowe. You can even get
Yeah, yeah,
married
yeah,
now. It's
yeah.
pretty on the nose there as to what that
A little
is
bit.
referencing.
Although it's vague enough that it could reference,
It could
I
be, yeah,
suppose, a
it
lot
could
of things.
just any kind of like needless
Like,
bigotry based on who
yeah,
someone is.
bigotry
Like that's
writ large, I suppose.
yeah. Um,
With the body difference element coming in.
yeah, and I
Um,
think that's partly why. Because here's where I've just finally figured out what my main issues with the episode
sure.
fall down to, and it's the last 10 minutes.
Mm,
Um, basically everything after Max Capricorn is revealed, I find pretty murky. Not only
right.
is Max Capricorn just the biggest cookie cutter of a villain you've ever seen in your life, which is disappointing given how strong the rest of the supporting cast is. It's a shame that the
Mm.
main villain doesn't get the same kind of depth or treatment. But the fact that
I'm
they
not.
chose to make him a
Mm.
cyborg as well,
Yeah,
and
that
then
that I was going to bring that up and have the Doctor make these a bunch of really kind of unpleasant jokes at his expense, um, and just and make the fact that he's a cyborg be kind of the reason why he kind of dies, right?
yeah,
Which is a
exactly.
little when they explicitly set up that this is a basic, basically like a persecuted minority in this universe, right? Um, and to the episode's credit, I think to a degree it emphasizes that his evil is mainly due to the fact that he's a horrible capitalist, you know what?
Yeah.
Um, who's just trying to do this for the money and a nice retirement and things like that. But you'd think it doesn't even say that. Maybe I might be wrong here, but I know that the whole Capricorn business has failed, right?
Yes.
But doesn't he touch on like some element where one of the reasons he is the way he is, or the reason why he hides away, is because he's a cyborg? I mean, that just seems a little. Yeah, I don't know about that, and that
Yeah, I don't
that
know. It's
bothered
just
me the
like
first time I
mm.
watched it.
Well, there doesn't seem to be any like real reason to make him a cyborg beyond creating a reason for Astrid to
Be able to
kill him off
dispose of
and
him.
yeah, dispose of him and herself in one
Hmm.
go.
Mm.
And it's just a shame that it's like the cyborg like the cyborg thing is the one thing that they really shone a spotlight on in terms of like an allegory. because then they tied it to the villain as well. Like
Yeah.
it's not terribly bad, and like it's definitely
But
not an
I mean,
overt
we've seen worse.
commentary on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it it just comes down to some poor choice words from the Doctor regarding who Max
Yeah.
Capricorn is.
Yeah. Like it's vague enough to work, but it still doesn't. There's still something a bit ethically uncomfortable about it, I suppose, and that makes that ending a bit unsatisfying. Not to mention, as you say, as a villain, he's a bit, even with his motivations, he's kind of cookie cutter, which wouldn't be terrible. Like we've seen other, I think, Doctor Who villains that are I guess a little bit generic, but um,
Well, also, like, here's the other thing though, like it plays like one of those Disney twist villains that comes in the last 5 minutes just for the sake of there being a villain. There was no reason that this couldn't have been a rival company for Max Capricorn who bribed the driver or the pilot, the captain, to
I
sink
suppose
the
so.
ship for that reason. Like there's nothing that the episode does with the villain that's any like that. If you take Max Capricorn off the ship, all you need to figure out is how to kill Astrid, and then the episode is exactly the same after
Hmm.
that.
Also, here's actually another question in terms of uh, Capricorn's uniqueness or lack thereof. If he wasn't a cyborg, what else would he be? Apart from generic greedy capitalist, right? Like, can you imagine, like, if those doors open up and he shows up in a suit, if you didn't have the unique character design, what else would there be?
Nothing.
Yeah, and and then apart from the, unique angle, the only other dramatic punchline him being a cyborg tends towards is, yeah, he's a persecuted minority, but ha ha ha, head in a box on wheels, and oh no, he's getting picked up by the forklift, and now he's fallen into the fiery abyss, because that's what we needed to do. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
bit.
it's not great.
No. And look, as I said, I'm sure we've seen worse in terms of these sorts of issues, but it's
Sure.
still not good, right?
Yeah, like like I don't know, because the episode is also the longest in Revival Who, like up until Day of the Doctor. So, like, arguably, it
Mm,
didn't need to have this extra layer of the twist villain on the Titanic the whole time. Um,
a little
because
bit, yeah.
just bloats it out a bit. You can
I,
figure out another way for the
mm,
angels to be taken. In fact, they already had the EMP that they
yeah, had taken
automatically
them
fired
out.
up was already effective in taking out all the angels. Beyond
And
that, you just need to figure out how to get Astrid to sacrifice herself, and you can easily do that by doing some kind of like, oh, the Titanic is falling, we need a bit of extra fuel,
yeah,
and you know,
you
in
could
she
have done
goes.
it so many other ways. And when you
Yeah,
think about it, would you even need like a twist villain to sink the Titanic? Like I get that if it was just a malfunction that might be a bit too cliched because that's not exactly obviously how the Titanic malfunctioned, but it's closer than having a twist villain, right? But in terms of getting the plot to where it needs to go and having the Titanic sink, quote unquote, um, do you really need that twist villain? And if you didn't, would you then have a bit more time to focus on these characters we can care about and maybe, which let's be honest, they are the most interesting thing in this story.
yeah,
Um, could you not, yeah, maybe expand on the characterizations a little bit, or even just have the episode be a bit shorter? Like I know, like I get that if they've got a longer running time, fine, go run with it. But like you said, it's one of the longest. What did you say? It's the longest episode until Day of the Doctor, was it?
yes, yeah,
Yeah. So you wonder, did it have to be? Because I don't think the last one was quite this long. Was it? I think it might have been longer than the average episode. It might have been an hour, but it wasn't, 70 minutes.
no,
And those 10 minutes, they can matter a lot. So, yeah, it's a bit odd. Let's
yeah,
put it
and
that
like
way.
beyond the half baked villain, there isn't really much that the episode does with that runtime that I would call like unnecessary. Like 'cause every other thing serves pretty well in terms of either character or plot. Um,
Mm.
like even that brief scene where they go down to Earth for a bit, it doesn't do a whole lot for the story, but it does a couple of
But it's
things.
still,
It sets up London being evacuated.
yeah.
Just continuing this running gag of London is being scared at Christmas, which I think
Mm.
is a really neat touch. It retrospectively introduces us to Wilfred Mott, which is very
Which,
crucial.
yeah.
Um,
But even then, like, the characterization of Astrid
yes,
really
I was
seeing
going to
what
get
it's
to
like
that.
to
Yeah.
travel the stars is,
Hmm.
that is still quite important, right? Because
I
it
agree.
makes
Like,
the sacrifice that more powerful.
I actually love that scene where they go to Earth for Astrid specifically, because this is why I've always been campaigning for, like, let's get less companions from modern day London.
Mm,
Let's go varied. Let's get an
mm,
alien companion, because then they get to
mm,
see Earth the way a regular companion sees other alien worlds, and that's a really fascinating juxtaposition. Like the way that Astrid like essentially geeks out over all the mundane stuff, including the smell, which
mm.
she agrees is terrible. Um,
But it's
you know,
still, different.
it's really great. It's
Mm,
so fantastic in terms of
yeah,
characterization.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, in superficially, they let Kylie keep her Australian accent, which is always great.
Mm,
Always great to hear Australian accents in other media. Just that little extra bit of ha 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 nationalistic pride in a way that doesn't actually affect anything. That's the best kind of nationalism. It's the superficial nationalism that doesn't make you go, "This country rules," and I'm going to ignore all its shortcomings. Instead, it's more of like a haha, our sports team, or yes, this show finally references our country. Like Spyfall from the Chibnall era is terrible, but a certain amount of it is set in the outback, and therefore it's brilliant.
moving on.
Yeah.
Um,
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 Yep, Mr. Copper is a great character. The show gets a lot out of the half-baked education that he got about planet Earth. Like,
yeah,
it's always a nice bit of comedic levity
yeah,
there. It
yeah.
doesn't overdo it as well. Like, I think
Yeah, there's only,
they drop it
it,
right when they need to. Like, because
yeah.
we only really learn about his baggage after a bunch of shit has gone down. Like, really, he is
Mm,
the last character that we check in with of our like TARDIS crew in this
yeah.
story. Um, and it's really great that he's what we end the episode on as well.
Mm,
The fact that he just gets to have like a happy and quiet life
yeah. Yeah, that was
um,
really nice.
is really good, and it's like one of the few things about this story that plays like a traditional Christmas special, because this kind of is like Scrooge is like giving Bob Cratchit some some Christmas bonuses or something like that. It's that kind of like uplifting ending to a Christmas story that we come to expect.
Oh, by the way, do you know the guy who plays Mr. Copper?
No, I do not.
It's Clive Swift, and you will never guess who he also played.
Who did he also play, Fitz?
Mr. Jobel from Revelation of the Daleks.
Huh. Right. Yeah, I think I do remember that now. Wonderful. This is his better role.
Yeah. At least he's not
Um,
wearing the toupee. Anyway,
Certainly not.
and yeah, no, but his story arc is in this episode is quite good. Like and he's not even like, obviously when you're dealing with an ensemble cast, you have to give each one a certain amount of attention, and I don't know if he's given more attention than most of the others until the ending. But even
Yeah.
before that, there's still enough characterization that he becomes really endearing. Like,
Yep.
obviously, he really obviously doesn't know what he's talking about with the planet Earth, and yes, that's meant to bring a certain amount of levity, but you also get the feeling that he's weirdly quite passionate about what he does,
Yeah.
um, and that he too enjoys sort of the adventure and traveling to different places, which is cemented later on because he sort of tells us what his life was like before he came onto the ship and whatnot.
I think it's also crucial that
hmm.
the show doesn't treat him like a brain dead moron. It's just like he's a little bit misguided
Yeah,
about
yeah.
Earth, but he's still like competent enough to figure out the EMP shit and all the
Yeah, he's charming, but
the
he's
teleport devices down to Earth. It's just like a yeah. It sort of it's bizarrely it kind of reads like when you're like when an elderly relative will get like something slightly wrong and it's like kind of funny.
yeah, a little bit.
Like when they
Like
mishear something and then confidently quote it back. Like that's
all those, or
it's
like the. I mean, maybe it's not quite the same, but like if you see videos on
mm,
social media, it's like, oh, here, grandma, we're gonna uh put water in our mouths and look at the camera, and you're gonna say these brain rot words, and we're gonna try our best not to laugh at them.
yeah.
Anyway, but yes, he's an endearing character, and I think that's actually one of the strengths of this ensemble cast, which is that yes, you've got someone like Drixon who's is just repulsive enough to work. Like he's not. They almost sort of hint. Maybe not an actual redemption, but there's a. You get the feeling that he's changed a little bit by the ending. Not much, but maybe a little bit. And the
Maybe a
other
little bit.
characters are very charming as well. But also, yeah, they're more than meets the eye. Mr. Copper, isn't just a bumbling fool. The married couple isn't, uh, they're not just, or certainly shouldn't be, just these sort of comedic, punching bags. They, they're smart, they're endearing, they care about each other and the people around them. So, yeah, I think those things are part of the strengths of the story for
Mm.
sure.
And you've also got the dedicated midshipman Frame, who is mostly isolated from the rest of our cast, but he's just as
Mm,
much in the mix as ever. He's doing what he can
yeah.
from the captain's deck, played by Russell Tovey, who is an incredible actor and puts absolutely
Mm.
everything into his scenes. He almost comes out of this as sort of like the standout actor.
Mm. You can see
It's
why
mm,
he was used again in. I mean, I'm sure he was used in other Doctor Who episodes, but obviously he's going to be in the war between the land and the sea, and he was in the other Russell T Davies show Years and Years, which,
yep.
once again, to our audience, I highly recommend you all watch because it's really good. But yeah, he is very good in this episode, and he doesn't. He does exactly what he needs to do in the story. Like he doesn't overstay his welcome, or they don't overemphasize I guess his role in the plot, but when he's there, he still makes it really compelling. And what do you say the actor's name was?
Russell Tovey.
Russell Tovey. He gives it a real gravitas, right?
Yeah,
Because I think it would have been easy to not give as much of a intense performance as he gives, because you think, I don't, oh yeah, like he's just part of, he's isolated from the rest of the cast. How much could he contribute in terms of character interactions, but he really gives it his all in it, and it's all the better for it, I think.
and he's also the only person in the apart from Rixton, the only person in the supporting cast for this story that doesn't get like a moment to tell the Doctor what his deal is. Like,
Mm,
there's no moment of, oh, we spent all our money on these tickets, or my degree in earthonomics is bogus, or I'm secretly a cyborg. There's nothing like that. Like the only way we have to endear to him is the fact that he's just good at his job at the start. Like, doesn't want to he pays he reads the bylaws, he pays attention to the rules, but he's also like dedicated to helping and doing the right thing, even though he's actively bleeding. That's all the episode really gives us
yeah,
beyond Russell's performance to endear us to him, and it works really well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and there is that bit where he sort of takes pity on Astrid and gives her the
Yeah,
teleportation thing, but um, even then, I think it's mostly the performance that sort of comes through to sort of elevate that character as much as he is. So that's very compelling. Um, I want to talk about some of the basic, like the setup for this story, right? Because
sure.
I said to you privately, recently that I thought the premise of this story was that the Titanic ship, like all the events there, were set way into the future, and all these people are actually humans, and they were simply, in an almost comedic way, just sort of trying to celebrate Earth history by arrogantly calling a ship the Titanic, in the
Yeah.
future. I had completely forgotten that there was a scene on modern day Earth, and I also didn't realize until I watched the episode again that, um, it that these humanoid people, they're not humans, they're from the planet Stowe.
Hmm.
Now, the reason I bring that up is because, apart from setting up Wilfred Mott and that little bit of characterization with Astrid, could this story have been told relatively the same if it was, a group of humans from far into the future? Um, I wonder. I thought to myself, that could have been done, but then I realized if it did, um, and actually no, I thought it could be done, but also with the people visiting planet Earth, if there was like a wormhole or something, or something that made them, teleport down onto Earth during the early 21st century. But I realized if that happened, and Capricorn's plan was still to crash the ship, that would have made a massive, it would have destroyed Earth history, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as much of a greedy capitalist uh, figure as Capricorn is, I doubt that he's that stupid. So I realized, okay, no, I guess it wouldn't really work. But yeah, I don't know. That's just an interesting observation I thought I'd bring up.
Yeah. I mentioned to you in the same moment that this was the first episode that we've watched in a while, at least, where I noticed some key, like, continuity and directing flaws that took me out of the story. Um, and it's mainly due to the sun's location
Oh
on
yeah, yeah,
planet
yeah, yeah,
Earth
yeah.
in relation to the time. Because when they get beamed down to the planet to have their little jaunt around a London
Hmm,
street, it's very visibly nighttime. The streets are dark,
hmm,
the sky is black, there's no light in the sky. And
hmm,
then after the meteors hit the Titanic, the TARDIS is set adrift, and we can see it going down to the planet Earth, and it of course hits the center of England, which we can see very
hmm,
clearly because the sun is shining gloriously on the entirety of the British Isles, meaning that
hmm.
it could not possibly be nighttime. And, no, and certainly not that much time has passed since those two events. And then later
Yeah,
on,
because hmm.
even later, um, Mr. Copper makes a note of, oh, I think that down on Earth now, it's midnight. Which, fucking yes, of course, Mr. Copper, that's how globes work. It's always midnight somewhere. Like, he specifically says it's midnight Earth time, which makes no sense.
I mean, sorry, just explain that to me a bit more. Why doesn't that particular part make sense?
Well, because of the way time zones work. Everywhere is midnight somewhere on the planet.
Oh, right, yeah, right. So as in, like, he's saying, oh, like it's, yeah, like Earth time, like all of
Yeah,
Earth.
he says specific. He
It's
specifically says Earth time. He doesn't say London time. He doesn't say England. He specifically says Earth time, which
I suppose I
is nonsense.
I those things don't bother me terribly. I mean,
I only really
I didn't
noticed Mr.
notice
Copper's language because I had noticed the angle
the
of the
ship
sun
thing. Yeah, yeah, the sun.
previously.
Excuse me. Yeah. Those things don't bother me terribly, but now that you point them out, I mean, they're there. It's not as if they're not present in the episode. So, yeah, fair enough.
I also find it humorous that the Doctor says, "Take me to your leader." I've always wanted to say that. Um, and I've got here a little section on the TARDIS fandom. The Doctor had previously said it in The Horns of Nimon, The Keeper of Traken, Ford of Doomsday, The Happiness Patrol, and Aliens of London.
Oh dear.
So I guess technically this Doctor
Yeah.
has never said it, but
But
that's
you
still
know
funny
that's
to
not what
point
they
out.
meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a bit funny, I will admit. Um Speaking of continuity though, um I do like that the sort of Fury of the Time Lord arc is sort
Yeah.
of really set up here with that
It's
pretty neat bit of dialogue between the Doctor and Mr. Copper, who said, "Well, yes, of course, this person isn't who you wanted to live, but if you could decide who lives or dies, Doctor, well, that would make you a monster."
and you
Which
also get Mr. Copper having to talk the Doctor out of like working himself to the bone to save Astrid when it's pretty clear that she's
mm,
beyond saving.
yeah,
And the Doctor has that
yeah,
moment where he like furiously kicks the teleport console and screams, "I can do anything." And
yeah,
I think even just beyond Fury of the Time Lord only works because this Doctor is even more so than other Doctors surprisingly vain in his estimation of himself, and that is where Fury of the Time Lord leads, where it's like, oh, I'm beyond the Time Lords. I'm now the Keeper of Time because I'm just that good. So yeah,
yeah, and it's
they're sowing the seeds already.
mm, but it's interesting that like the vanity, it's not vanity in the typical way that we think of it. It's not vanity in the way
It's not
you know.
Sixth Doctor vanity.
Yes, yeah, it's not like that. It's more. It's sort of on a deeper level, right? One that's a bit more subtle, but more profound. Um, as you say, like the fact that I think especially after um, the first series with Christopher Eccleston, you get the feeling that part of this Doctor's development is assuming a level of not power madness, but just the feeling that, well, if I've got all this responsibility, I've got a lot of power too, and you know what? I'm gonna make these decisions because I don't like it when people I like die, and I've been around too long, and
Yeah,
so it's good that that's been set up. I think even previously, but that it is really being set up here. Like it's compelling and an interesting question that I don't think, certainly up to that point, I don't think was asked quite enough in Doctor Who.
mhm.
So that's really good.
And like there
Um,
are certainly elements of the story that go a certain way to stroking the Doctor's ego, such as the incredibly on the nose and somewhat ham-fisted Jesus
be
allegory.
before we get to that, can we just talk about the
Okay.
angels generally?
Yes.
Um,
I know I did notice we hadn't mentioned them yet.
and they're fine enough for
They're
for
fine.
monsters, I guess. Like they're like it is kind of fun and chilling when they say information. You are all going to die. Like it,
Yeah,
it just makes me laugh though because it's moments like that, and it's not the only one. It's not just with the angels. There are a couple of moments that are very trailer moments, right? So
certainly, yeah.
you've got the camera coming in on the Doctor, where he's saying, "I'm the Doctor. I'm a Time Lord from the planet Gallifrey," and then we've got you're all going to die. It's you just know that the editors are thinking, "Yeah, we're going to put that in the trailer, and that's going to be the really exciting part." You know,
Yeah, I guess the worst I can say about how the Heavenly Host are handled in this is that they sort of tick all the boxes and they don't do
I
much
mean a
more.
little bit. Yeah,
You know,
I,
they've got an iconic enough look where if you see it, you
hmm,
go, yeah, that's the Doctor Who. You know, they've got something interesting about the way they talk, and they've got kind of like a villainous catchphrase, which is common for mob
yeah,
villains like this to have. They've got a unique way of dispatching people in
yep,
the
and the
frisbee
halos.
halos that they've got, which do a neat little thing where when they take it off, the little studs holding him that did hold the halo in place kind of make them look like they've got tiny devil horns, which is a nice
Yeah,
little touch.
yeah, that's funny
Um,
actually.
like, but there's not a lot of personality that they have beyond that. Like, I don't think anyone
Yeah,
is fighting to list the Heavenly Host among the best Doctor Who villains of all
yeah,
time. Like, they serve their purpose for the
mm.
story, but that's about it. Which isn't
and
necessarily a bad thing. But again, it's a 71-minute episode, and the villains are by far the weakest aspect.
Well, that's a kind of the issue, right? Because arguably they could afford to be a little bit generic if the main villain was really interesting and charismatic,
Exactly.
but that's not what we really get here, right?
Exactly.
It'd be like if Earthshock, the main villains were the androids, and then the actual villains were cranky guy who wants to shut down the mines on the planet or something. Yeah. Um. So they're iconic enough. So as you say, oh yeah, that's clearly a Doctor Who design, and you especially because they're tied into the Christmas thing. They're memorable, but in the way they behave, yeah, there's nothing particularly memorable about them. They're just kind of a drone,
I
collective horde thing chasing them.
I will say there are elements of how they're handled that don't really hold up to scrutiny. Like, why do they have a override that anyone can use, like
Mm,
Emergency Protocol 1 or whatever it is, like
mm,
that gives like 3 questions and then they ignore the protocols again?
mm.
Like, why is that a part of Max Capricorn's? Like, why would he bake that into their even even if it's not even if it's not Max Capricorn who decided on that, if that's like just a
Mm.
part of the host's regular programming, which Max Capricorn,
You'd think he would have
it,
overridden it, right?
yeah, exactly. It's clear that it's the angel. I think not angel. That's a specific thing, but like the host says at a certain point that they only have one like objective, and that's to kill.
Mm,
But they don't. They've got 2 objectives, which is to kill and then to play a little game of 3 questions, Sphinx style, to see if you
mm.
can get over it. And also, like, why would the Doctor being a stowaway matter if that protocol was overridden and they just want to kill? That doesn't make any
I
sense
mean,
either.
uh, that I could I could almost believe the second part because he really is, like if they've been specifically said to kill the crew because that is the main goal of Max Capricorn, the crew and the passengers. I mean, um, and that is Max Capricorn's goal. Maybe these machines are, they're only machines, right? They've been poorly programmed enough. That being said, similarly with the 3 questions thing, you'd think maybe Max Capricorn would have tried to override that in some way, so they just killed anybody apart from him, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Yes,
Um,
that seems like the most obvious thing to do.
mm, it yeah, it is a little bit silly, and even like if you wanted to do the Doctor being able to prevent them from attacking by saying, "Oh, I'm not a stowaway, I'm not a passenger." You probably could have gotten to that point without the 3 questions thing, right? Right, the Doctor
Yeah,
could
because the
probably have
Doctor or
figured
the
that out on
Doctor
his own and just said, "No, no, 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 I'm not a passenger. I'm not a crew member. Stop."
he was already heading down to where Max Capricorn was.
Hmm,
He could have just made it there on his own without being accosted by host. And then when he runs into Max Capricorn in that area, you can just have the host appear and subdue him there. Like, there's no need to have the encounter beyond just getting to do a little funny. Oh, that wasn't a
hmm,
question. Can I start over? Which,
hmm,
admittedly, is a bit of humorous dialogue, but it's not.
hmm.
It's far from the only place I've heard that kind of joke told before.
Yeah, and it doesn't do much for the plot. I think even when we were looking at the Daemons, there was some comedic moment where something Sergeant Benton was doing that we laughed at, but then when we analysed it, it's like, oh, actually, that had quite an impact on the plot there. Oh yeah, it was when the Doctor was pretending to be like a warlock, and Benton was shooting different things, but that had a bearing on the plot there. This doesn't really.
No.
It's just this kind of haha funny moment. See guys, the Doctor he's a genius, but he's a bit of a goof. So not terrible, but yeah, it could be better. There's one thing I actually want to bring up with the host, and it's a small thing, but it struck me as a fairly significant the second time I watched this episode this week. Um, when they're being chased by them,
Yeah.
and the angels are breaking the doors down, and then they stop, and then the Doctor realizes, oh wait, angels have wings. Why
Mhm.
didn't they just fly into the room in the first place?
I assume it's just because like they were right there.
Yeah, but you'd think after the second bang on the door, the host would have been smart enough, I guess, to think, oh, we have wings, we can get here by floating down to them. And because we're flying, there actually won't even be a risk of us falling into the pit of fire. Like, that just seemed weird to me. And I get why they did it. Like, why RTD did it. It's to give the scene a bit of menace. It's like, they've gone away, yay, oh wait, oh no, there they come. But logically, it just doesn't make as much sense, I think, as it should.
I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that says that like it was clear from the other side of the door that trying to barge through was pointless. Like maybe their protocols were like stuck in that thing a bit longer, where it's like they're literally 2 inches away. Let's try and get to them, and then when a certain amount of time passes, they run a subroutine, being like, okay, this is not working. Let's figure out another way around.
I mean, maybe. I guess that makes
Probably
sense.
been
It just.
that I can imagine them being programmed as like, okay, take the path of least resistance towards any survivors and pick them off. But like it takes them a while to figure out when resistance has been added.
Mm. Yeah, I
I don't know. It's not
suppose so.
something that it's not something that completely killed my immersion in that scene.
Okay.
But it does handily tease that angels have wings and therefore can fly, which is
And
only
that.
put into the episode to justify the imagery down the line.
Well, I'll say this. Apart from the. And I say this simply because you and I, went to Catholic school, but apart from the sort of what seems to be pretty clear reference to what's called the Ascension, um, I don't know if the Jesus allegory is a complete one because I don't think, apart from the doctor like saving people, there doesn't seem to be a lot of explicit, Jesus references throughout the story. That being said, there's clearly some weird messianic quality to that literal ascension, right?
It's
And I
really
think they
only
even,
that scene. It's the way he
yeah,
holds his hands out in a way that I've seen many depictions of
yeah,
Christ
true,
in the
true,
past. It's
yeah,
the fact
that's
that
true.
it's literally angels that take him up to the heavens.
And there's like a beam of light.
A beam of
Um,
light. The music is also kind of gospely at that
yeah,
moment. Like this
yeah,
isn't an
there's a
Easter special, so it's not like as on the
that
nose as it
obvious.
otherwise could have been. But hey,
Yeah,
it was enough to get Catholics calling in and complaining about it.
really.
Yep, apparently they got a lot of complaints from Catholic viewers about that scene.
Anyway, yeah, but
And I
it is
mean,
it is on the
neither of
nose.
us are particularly Catholic, and I think we're criticizing it not because oh the Doctor isn't Jesus, but more because oh that's
It's
dumb.
really heavy-handed and dumb. And I think I even said like, right, to you privately that if you want to have the Doctor, just ascending through the structure with the host, like on principle, okay, that works. It's a little bit hokey, but whatever. But it's the fact that it's visualized and emphasized in the way that it is, right? Like
Yeah,
they're making the imagery really, really clear. It's not just a simple, oh, here we go, angels, but no, it's choral music and the beam of light and the slow ascension with the, as you say, the sort of Jesus pose. It's a bit obnoxious. And
it
I
is.
say this as a person who has criticized particularly the Moffat era in the past for giving the Doctor a kind of messianic quality. As frustrating as I found the ending of The Girl in the Place, I don't remember it having any particular imagery that was quite this obnoxious.
Nope, and I doubt you'll find anything in the Moffat era that is this
That's
obnoxious.
as bad as this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Um,
so yeah, that
I've
was really
realized
lame.
I've realized now that beyond that one scene with Astrid on Earth, we haven't really discussed her.
Hmm.
as a character all that much, and her role in the story.
Hmm.
Like it, part of me is really annoyed that they did the romantic angle with Astrid in this.
Yeah.
It just feels like a
Yep.
step back after the Martha
After Martha. Yeah.
storyline, where it's like I thought the lesson that Doctor learned from that was don't do that shit or don't allow that shit. That's why at the start of the next episode, or the end of the next episode rather, he makes it very clear to Donna that he's not looking for anything romantic.
Hmm.
And like, what's the
But
common denominator here? Astrid is also blonde, and that's
I
a
was gonna
rose
say,
thing.
but tough. She's blonde, and
Eh.
there's a joke there to be made. I'm sure.
Look, if you had said she's Kylie Minogue, I think that would be more justifiable.
It's still weird, right?
It's
Like,
still, it's. I think it's less. For some reason, I find it less egregious here, just because Astrid is an alien and isn't a teenage girl.
yeah,
Like
I
there's a
guess so.
slightly more of like a. It's a similar. I could almost have imagined this going a similar direction as the Doctor and Rogue in Shitty Guard era.
Yeah, I,
You
I
know,
guess so. Although
like
the Rogue is
Astrid is
Rogue is a
like
lot more
Astrid.
worldly than Astrid, I
Well,
think.
that's what I was gonna say. Astrid is like a bit of space travel's experience shy of just essentially being filling the same hole that Rogue does.
I suppose so.
So
Um,
I guess in that sense, it's not too bad.
hmm.
I still think that. I
I
mean,
still prefer it not to be there.
I
Let's.
prefer not to
I
be
mean,
there. It's also if you're gonna. I feel like it's look. This is a very mid 2000s way of thinking, but it's a way to generate the most tragedy if you know you're going to kill the character.
hmm.
And I guess in my mind, I'm like that's kind of a lazy way to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
but like,
I
why would
would
you
have
need to do
preferred
that though?
no, I would have preferred for them to like really highlight the potential and like
Yeah.
how Astrid has these unrealized dreams and goals and
Hmm.
aspirations that she now has the opportunity to realize, and then
Yeah.
moments before she could, she chooses to take her own life for the greater good. I
Hmm.
think focusing on that is it's harder for one thing, but it's also better. I think in the long
Yeah,
run,
it's
if
more
you really
rewarding
flesh that out, um, at the
for
very
sure.
least, and I'll say this, but like that's not Astrid's only role in the story. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
she does other stuff. She
yeah.
takes an active involvement. She fights off the host. She uses the EMP. Even before she gets the EMP, she's fending them off with a stick on the
Mm.
bridge. Um,
She's even that small moment where she scolds, Rickson. I keep forgetting his name, but you know who I'm talking about for saying, "Oh, well, he's a dead idiot." Then there's a
yes,
compassion there that the Doctor obviously responds to. I think, and the audience responds to as well. Um,
yes,
she like at the very least, given that we've got Kylie Minogue as a celebrity guest star, that character could have been way blander than she
yeah,
actually was. So
and
yeah, like she's quite endearing.
also it's also not like Kylie Minogue doing Kylie Minogue in Doctor Who. It's Kylie
Mm,
Minogue acting in Doctor Who. Like as
yeah,
as as fully realized a character as Donna becomes in Runaway Bride, it's just Catherine Tate doing Catherine Tate, and she does it
yeah,
well. But like she
yeah.
doesn't become the best companion ever until the next
Until
season.
series 4, yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Um, yeah, but she's Astrid's still quite a compelling character, and the ending sacrifice, it's powerful enough, I think.
Even
And
though
it, I
it's pretty obvious that because if you're not paying attention, an obvious complaint you can have is like, why didn't she just like apply the brakes when she gets Capricorn over the edge? Like, can she jump out? Um, However, there is a line that Doctor yells when the hosts are attacking Astrid in the little forklift thing. The Doctor yells out, "Oh, they've cut the brake line,"
mm,
and it's very clear ADR. Unfortunately, like the Doctor's not on screen at that moment, and it's pretty clearly like in the edit they were like, "Oh, hang on a minute, let's just this might not make sense. We might have accidentally written ourselves into a
Mm,
bit of a hole here. Let's just get the Doctor.
mm.
Let's get David Tennant in to read
To
5
record
words
this
into a
one lot.
microphone to
Yeah.
just to get us over the line there. I don't normally notice ADR, but I did in that moment. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a bit odd. And like, I guess it's one of those things where, like, I'm sure we've seen other Doctor Who stories that would just try to emphasize the heightened drama and would think, oh, well, that's enough to get over the line. Who cares if it doesn't make sense? So in a way, it's kind of good that the creative team cared enough to try and fix that, but it is a bit obvious, I guess, what they're doing.
Yeah. I don't have much more to talk about.
Yeah, neither do I.
Weirdly, really, you don't want to mention uh the insert catchphrase that's brought
Oh,
up in
fuck. Yes.
the back part of the story.
No, thank you for reminding me. I get to I get to be cranky for a little longer.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, I hate catchphrases most of the time. Maybe occasionally they sort of work, but especially for main characters, and this is just with fiction generally. But even with Doctor Who, I don't I don't want to see the 10th Doctor like look straight into the camera and say Alonzi. I don't want him to make a pun of it when he finds out that the dude in the ship is named Alonzo. It's just it's
In
stupid, it's pointless, and it's so unfunny.
in fairness, back when Alonzi was first brought up in Army of Ghosts, the Doctor does have a line where he's like, "I should say Alonzi more often. Alonzi, wouldn't it be great if I met someone?" Then I could say Alonzi
No, it
Alonso.
wouldn't be great, Doctor.
It's well, like it's a callback to that at the very least.
Yeah,
Like
I get what you
it's not
mean.
just like it's
It's not
not
just
Russell
out of the
trying to
blue.
pull out a cheap thing. It's like something that is a callback.
Yeah.
But
Still
still,
annoying as hell, but yes, I see what you mean.
I am actually going to go on record here in saying that I don't necessarily find catchphrases as like sickening as I think you
Hmm.
do. I can understand the intent behind giving the Doctor a catchphrase in terms of if you're looking through the lens of this being a kids show, it's
Hmm.
so that when children are playing Doctor Who on the playground, they don't have to like strain too much to improvise stuff dialogue that the Doctor would say. They can just yell at the catchphrase as they run around with a stick that is a sonic screwdriver.
I
Like I
suppose
understand it
so.
from that perspective. Um, and at the very least, Alon Z is a catchphrase of the 10th Doctor that I feel like cropped up pretty naturally over time. Like, it's definitely not as much of a um, clear, like, marketing tool as Geronimo is, which was introduced literally in the first 2 minutes that the 11th Doctor is on screen. Like, they
Or
didn't.
bow ties are cool, or fezzes are cool, which is, in my view, considerably less subtle. But anyway, that's a whole other topic which we will get to much
Sure.
later.
Like, and even in the Alonso moment, it mainly really just comes across as the 10th Doctor, like, getting to, like, it doesn't come across as much as a, haha, get it, audience? The thing happened. Purely just because of the way David Tennant delivers it. Like, he just basically says it directed
That's
to
true.
Alonso, and he doesn't do it
It
with much,
was.
like, bravado. He just gets to
I
say
think
it and then
it's.
move on.
I think it's more in context of that. Like it annoyed me, but it's more because we had the first scene where we literally have the camera pushing towards the
Yeah.
Doctor's face, and he says, "I want to see it." I think I don't know what it is with me when it comes to things like catchphrases. I don't know whether it's just because I've been soured by, for example, the last few seasons of How I Met Your Mother, which made me want to jump off some very high height after listening to Awesome so much, or whatever the fuck else they use in that show. Anyway, yeah. Yes, it is just it's a small nitpick, but it still annoys me.
Sure.
Beyond
And,
that, oh, sorry, go ahead.
well, we're moving. I'm going to move on. So if there's one
Yeah,
more
yeah.
thing you want to say about the catchphrases, you should go first.
Okay, sure. Sorry, what did you say? Sorry.
If I'm going to change the topic, so if you had any more to add to this
No. Oh no
catchphrase
no no no
conversation.
no. I've got nothing
Okay,
else to add to the
cool,
catchphrase discourse.
great. We haven't really mentioned David Tennant too much in this. Obviously,
Hmm.
he knocks this performance out of the park.
Yeah.
As he does with most of his stories. And in fact, I've just read a bit of trivia on TARDIS fandom that makes it even more impressive. I'm just going to read this entire thing to you. It's long and
Mm.
it's bleak as well, so bear with me. On the second day of shooting, David Tennant learned that his mother, Helen MacDonald, was on the verge of losing her 5-year battle with cancer. Tennant immediately left Upper Boat to be present during his mother's final moments. This led to the shooting schedule being rearranged to focus on scenes that didn't feature the Doctor and special effects work. The production was then suspended until Tennant was able to return, a stressful situation given Kylie Minogue's short window of availability. As it transpired, however, the hiatus was brief as Tennant threw himself back into his work the day after his mother passed away. He was released for a day to attend her.
My God.
So the majority of the time that the Doctor is on screen in this story, David Tennant had just lost his mother to cancer.
Good God.
And he still gave this performance.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, the man is an institution.
He's pretty damn good. Let's be honest. Because that's terrible.
I wonder if it adds a little bit of, like, when he yells out, "I can do anything," and he's trying everything he can
Mm,
to save Astrid. I wonder if that it must
if there
have
was some conviction sort
it
of
must
coming
have
through there.
like he must have injected some of that into his performance. I don't know how you
Mm,
couldn't.
yeah, I can imagine that.
Anyway, David Tennant is brilliant. This episode is fine.
Yeah. What are we gonna score this thing?
I'm gonna give it a 6. Like,
Yeah, I'll give it a 6 too.
it's an entertaining watch, but it's nothing special, all things considered.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'll give it a 6 as well.
Um, what do we give? We gave Runaway Bride around about this score. Yeah,
I think I
that's
gave it a
about right.
5 actually. I think
No,
you and
I gave
Hadley
it a
gave it a
5.
6.
I gave it. You've got that the exact opposite way
The other
around.
way around, I gave it a 6. You gave it a 5. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there we
And
are.
yeah, I mean, I guess so. Like, neither of those specials are particularly strong on their own.
Hmm.
But that's enough about that, because next time we will be jumping back into the classic era, and we'll be reviewing an episode that no one could have seen coming after this year's series. We'll be looking at the Mark of the Rani.
Oh boy. It's not as frustrating as the other some of the other Colin Baker stories we've looked at, I think. So we'll see how that goes.
But until then, I'm Alex,
I'm Fitz. Do you want to say
and
it?
Mary. Go for it.
Oh, Alonzi.
I was going to say Merry Christmas in July, but you've decided to do that, so good on you.
Fuck me.